We're back on Morning Trade Live. AMD is moving higher this morning after the company held its first Analyst Day in more than 3 years. On Tuesday, CEO Lisa Su saying AMD expects the data center total market will grow to $1 trillion by 2030 and updated the company's revenue and margin guidance as well. Shares are up more than 115% this year and have rallied more than 240% from April's low. And of course, a lot of that had to do with October and what we've seen more recently off the back of the partnership with OpenAI. Let's take a look at some of the other semiconductor names in the space today. We've got Broadcom higher to the tune of 1%. Intel also 0.6% higher. Nvidia, the laggard on the session, 0.3% lower. It's been a bit of a tough couple of weeks there for Nvidia ahead of its earnings next week, of course. And then the most recent news being that SoftBank offloaded its entire stake in that company just this week. All right, that's the focus of the morning trade. Joining us now for a closer look, as always, is Schwab Network host Marley Kayden. So, obviously we were looking at some of the lines coming out of this Analyst Day yesterday, and they really like that $1 trillion mark that they are talking about come 2030. But what has been the reaction now that we've had time to digest what Lisa Su and co said from the analysts here on Wall Street?
It was a very interesting response initially, Sam. I know we were on air together talking about it yesterday afternoon, that we did see shares whipsaw a bit, but now considerably up more than 10% with a lot of positive and bullish commentary from the sell side. So let's walk through some of it. Wells Fargo upping its price target to $345 from $300, saying the company has outlined what they called a compelling, stronger than expected financial model framework. They're particularly citing that path to $20 a share for their EPS. Mizuho also raising their price target to $285, up from $275. They were saying that the 35% sales growth rate annually they felt was already implied for 26 and 27, but the estimates for 28 through 30 was above their expectation. Those longer term financial targets is why they upped their price target. Price target also bumped up to 283 at Evercore ISI. Now, they said they came away incrementally positive towards AMD following the Analyst Day, also citing that $20 plus EPS by 2029. But they added that they do remain skeptical about OpenAI, that deal that you mentioned in our lead into this discussion, as they're worried it won't fully ramp to that full 6 gigawatt potential. They say they're encouraged by management citing the expectation for multiple gigawatt scale customers ramping with their MI450, but that they're concerned somewhat about the reliance on OpenAI. And they're not the only one that mentions that. Goldman Sachs also mentions the same thing. They maintained a neutral rating, $210 price target on shares, given their reliance on this OpenAI deal and the execution uncertainty around it. Now, important to note, their price target, 210. Right now, we're trading at 260.65. Also, Morgan Stanley coming out here saying that their MI350 market shares is the key variable. That's what they think. They said they thought that it was positive and well constructed, the Analyst Day on the whole, but it had, quote, a few surprises. They were surprised by the MI350 market share assumptions, saying that they thought that was a key variable. They were not surprised by the growth projections of 35% in terms of sales over the next 3 to 5 years. They said that they felt that that seemed roughly consistent with their numbers. And then Citi is our last one. They maintained a neutral rating, $260 price target, which is basically where we're trading right now. Saying that they believe investors and buy-side expectations were already at the numbers that Lisa Su and AMD released yesterday. So they did not find it surprising, nor did they have any real commentary. They said it was already in the expectations.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I mean, the stock is being rewarded today, isn't it, Marley, as we can see? I mean, up 10%. So the street likes it. But as you and I have been covering, since we heard from the earnings, I mean, this is really going to be a 2026, 2027 story as far as some of these analysts are concerned as well. Thanks so much for getting us across those key details there. Let's trade it now with Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Hi to you, Scott. Good morning. How are you approaching your example trade for this one?
Wow, what a move here. I kind of liken this to what we saw with Oracle when they had earnings, last month. And listen, this is kind of the perfect storm with what Lisa Su said. Nobody could have expected this. This is one of the most bullish things that I've seen, especially in a big tech stock. And that concerns me a little bit. I love AMD for the long run. It is a great, great stock. As a trade right now, though, based on the move we're seeing this morning, I think it's a little overdone, and I would look for a little downside. So what I am doing here is I'm going out to regular December expiration. So we've got 5-6 weeks there or so. I'm buying the 260 strike put. I'm going to sell 2 of the 240 strike puts, and I'm going to buy the 230 put. So this is called a broken wing put butterfly, and I'm going to pay about $5 for this. The only reason I'm doing this again is because I think there's a little bit too much euphoria here. This announcement was too perfect. Not that, AMD is going to crash and burn or sell off dramatically. I think this is just way too much too quickly.
Okay. Too perfect. That's an interesting assessment. Wouldn't we all like to have that feedback? Just get your thoughts on the overall market action today, Scotty, because we've actually just seen the S&P 500 dipping into the red, so a bit of flip-flopping there. But, it comes as the Dow has continued to hit records this morning thanks to some of the banks, some other names like UNH, Caterpillar, Nike, etc. What are your thoughts?
I think the market is now looking beyond the shutdown and to the bond market and to what the Fed is doing next month. We've got that 10-year auction coming out, and we've gone in the last several weeks from almost a certainty of another cut in December to now about a 60% probability. And I think the market is really concerned about that. So, I would expect some back and forth here. I think the euphoria that we saw, and I've used that word a few times now, the other day over the reopening potentially, I think that's gone. And right now it's all about the bond market and rates.
Yeah, it certainly is. And of course, we are looking at a lot of Fed speak coming through as well, as we've sort of been in this sort of darkness of data, and hopefully we'll get that, and we'll get some more clarity on what comes next as far as that December decision. Thanks so much for your time. As always, Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, joining me there. Appreciate it.